tiny stores, and welcome back to another video. So today's video we're going to be focusing on all of the Disney dining that we've booked for our upcoming trip. And if you've been following me for a while, you'll know it's my absolute favourite topic to talk about. So if you're new here and like this kind of content, then don't forget to give me a big thumbs up, and a subscribe is always appreciated. So last week's video I focused on the Universal and the off-site dining that we've booked, and this week is all around the Disney dining. So I've got my little spreadsheet, well it's not a little at all, but I've got my big spreadsheet here with all of the dining that we've booked just to prompt me. But yeah, Disney dining, it's my favourite I think, and very different this time, and I did talk about this in a previous video which I will link up above if you haven't seen it. But yeah, Disney dining this trip is a little bit different. So there's no Disney dining plan. Instead, we've got the Disney dining credit. And what we found, and it definitely is because of the places that we're booking, so I'll make that point, but we found that it doesn't go very far. So we're going to be paying quite a lot for some of the places that we've booked, which again is completely our choice. We could absolutely do this trip cheaper if we wanted to, but dining is such a big part of the experience for us, and we've not like held ourselves back or limited ourselves at all. I am hoping to do a future video talking around like the budgeting side, where I'll talk about that in a bit more detail, but for now let's get on with the restaurants. So for the booking of this trip, I definitely found it like really difficult because Disney dining is just so incredible. There are so many amazing signatures, table service, counter service, snacks everywhere. So not just in the parks but at the resorts as well. And there's just too much choice. It's really hard to narrow it down, especially because we're not going for our usual, say, 15 days, 14 nights. We're going for 10 nights, so that kind of limited it even more. So it was really hard, and we definitely had to prioritize. There have been some changes since we booked some of these in as well, which I will touch on, but yeah, it kind of feels like a little bit evolving still. But let's start. So I guess if I go by resort first, that's probably easiest. So where we're staying at Coronado Springs, there is a lot of different choice for breakfast, lunch and dinner. However, we much prefer to kind of have our breakfast out and about as early as possible, and ideally in a park so that we're already there. So that kind of discounted that. And similar for lunch and dinner is we don't really want to cut our park days short, so we prefer to kind of eat whilst we're out rather than coming back to our resort. The only exception to that is one of the days, I think, let's have a look. It is when we are planning our water park day. So we thought, well, there's not going to be any rush then. We don't really need to be up at the crack of dawn. So let's go for breakfast at Coronado Springs. We did originally have Rick's Bar and Grill booked in, but then we have since cancelled that in favour of going to the quick service, which is El Mercado. Reason being is the breakfast menus looked quite similar, but of course you're paying a premium for a table service. Now, given this is more towards the back end of our trip, we'll have already spent an absolute fortune on dining, so we just thought, let's prioritise, let's go for the cheaper offering. We're not going to starve while we're in Disney, so we don't necessarily need to be eating our table service all the time. So Coronado Springs, that's the option that we've gone for. So in terms of other resorts, there's 4 different options that we've picked. 2 breakfasts and 2 dinners. Now, start with breakfast. The first one that we've booked is Steakhouse 71 over at the Contemporary. Now, this is at the start of our first Magic Kingdom day, so we're thinking that's going to be good to be in quite close proximity to Magic Kingdom. We can walk across from the Contemporary, and it's a new restaurant. So Steakhouse 71, I believe, replaced the Wave, which we never ate at on our previous trip. But we have seen really good reviews, and also seen lots of good reviews now about Steakhouse 71. So we've got an early breakfast reservation for there. I was sold when I saw on the menu that they did Eggs Benedict, so that's going to do it for me. So that's one of our breakfast options, which we're really looking forward to. We always love trying like new dining options, especially if it's places we've never been to before. So that one absolutely was on the list. Then the next breakfast that we've booked at a resort is Topolino's Terrace, and that is one of the few character dining options that's actually available now at Walt Disney World. When we found that we were going to book, a lot of our favourites are still not offering character dining yet, which was a shame. And we did want to maximise our like character meet and greet. I know it's a different experience and there's no autographs and there's no hugs, things like that, but it's still like pictures from a distance, still some character interaction. So the menu at Topolino's Terrace really sold it to us. So it's not quite an all-you-can-eat family style buffet type offering, but it is all you care to enjoy, and there are specific menu options that you can pick from, and everything looked so good. So that one for us was a great choice. So we're looking forward to trying that. We haven't tried it before, so again, that's another one that's new. So that's the breakfast at resorts done. Now thinking about dinners that we've booked at resorts. Now the first one is Yachtsman Steakhouse, and this was, I was desperate to do this on our last trip, and I think we did have a reservation, but something came up and I think we had to cancel it, but I can't remember, it was a very long time ago. So it was definitely making it on the list this time round. Now I've been looking at reviews of Yachtsman Steakhouse, and I think the menu choices are a little bit more limited, so it's a more reduced menu, but actually they've still got some of the favourites that I really wanted to try, and that is the starter of where they give you the bread and then you've got that big head of roasted garlic. That just looks amazing and I just can't wait to get stuck into that. No one's going to want to come near me for the next week, but whatever. And then also what I was looking at recently was that they do a leek and potato gratin. Now potato dauphinoise and gratin potato, some of my favourite ways to eat potato. Leek and potato is my favourite soup. Now I think that just sounds incredible and I'm very excited to try that. So Yachtsman is a signature. It is going to be quite pricey, especially with the 20% tip on top, but I'm really hoping that it's worth it. And then the final dinner that we've booked at a resort is Ohana. Now on our 2019 trip we did do Ohana Breakfast, and we were really hoping to do that again because we loved it, especially with like Stitch and Lilo. But that again is one of the character options that hasn't come back yet, certainly for our trip when you're watching this. But the dinner again is different because it used to be that they used to come round with like big kebab type skewers of meat and prawns and chicken. So some of that is obviously different because of the pandemic, but I think they, from what I've seen, they bring it to a table in big skillets. Again, I think it's all you can care to enjoy, so you're not going to go hungry. And the options still look just as good with the noodles, the pot stickers, the meat, and of course the pudding with all that caramel sauce. I mean, you're going to have to save room for that because that just looks delightful. So very excited for our resort breakfasts and dinners that we've got planned. So in terms of the in-park dining, I'll do it by park. So let's start with Magic Kingdom. Now, as I mentioned at the beginning, some of our favourite like character dining options are still not back. So Crystal Palace breakfast, I'm so sad because I really loved that breakfast lasagna that they did. It was incredible, but I'm just not going to pay that money for a lesser experience, i.e. without the characters, because I think there are different options that you can get which will be quite similar just without the cost. So that was out for us. Similarly for Cinderella's Royal Table, now I do think they do have a sort of character type offering because I think you can see Cinderella, but again from a distance. But that again is a signature booking, which is a lot of money. You do need to pay for that one up front as well. And it was a great breakfast. I love that breakfast. That caramel apple stuffed French toast thing that I had last time was to die for. I'm obviously still thinking about it now, but just not worth the cost for breakfast. So we ruled those out. We did have Cinderella's Royal Table booked for dinner, but again we've since cancelled it because we just didn't think it was going to be worth the money, especially not when we looked at the menu options and thought, for us it's just not worth it without the characters. The menu options are good and we really enjoyed the food there, but they weren't so incredible that we're going to pay a premium for it just for that. And I know the location is incredible, but we have our memories from last time, so those were out. What we did book was Tony's Restaurant for dinner, and I know that one's controversial because it really does get mixed reviews, but when we ate there on our last trip, we thought the location was great. We could look out at Main Street, and just people watch as we were waiting like for our food, and that was really nice. On our particular visit we had the Dapper Dans singing like right next to us. It was incredible. We also thought the food was pretty good. Certainly the mains that we ate, the desserts were a bit pants, but actually because we're not on the dining plan, we just don't need to order them, and therefore we won't need to pay for them. We'll go and have a snack somewhere else, which is definitely a bonus this time round. So Tony's restaurant, we did enjoy the food. We're going to give it another go and hope that that's okay. And then just looking at my spreadsheet, I don't think, no we didn't, we haven't booked any other table service for Magic Kingdom. Obviously there is loads of restaurants. We did visit quite a few on our 2019 trip, but we just weren't blown away. So for example, Liberty Tree Tavern, we did really enjoy that, but again the food, we just felt it was like a bit too like over facing. So whilst it is a good choice, we didn't love it enough to book it again, if that makes sense. And there are so many fantastic quick service options and snack options in Magic Kingdom that actually what we thought is, let's not book things in, let's take advantage of those. I think Friar Nooks is definitely something on the list. Like they've got the tater tots with lots of different toppings, like buffalo wings, what's not to like. Sleepy Hollow with their filled waffles looks incredible. Cosmic Rays with the burgers, all those kinds of things. And then the little snack pop-ups as well. So Gaston's Tavern for a little breakfast offering, you know, that giant cinnamon roll with the extra icing of course. Cheeseburger spring rolls, like there's loads of different choice that I think it would just be better for us to kind of decide on the day and not get so tied down into table service dining at Magic Kingdom, because there's so many good options. And all the snacks of course as well, so we'll definitely be going to a lower aisle again and getting us some Dole Whip. So for Magic Kingdom, because there's so many great options, we were less concerned about booking so many table service there, so that's what we've decided. So Hollywood Studios is where we've got pretty firm plans around dining, and I think for us personally, Hollywood Studios is the one that has the least dining options that we prefer. So for us, it was quite specific what we wanted to book and where we wanted to eat. So firstly, we have booked Mama Melrose, and again, that was just because we had a great experience last time. Not everything was great, but again, we'll just only order what we want to eat. The only thing that I was absolutely like so upset by was that on our 2019 trip, Mama Melrose did this wood-fired chicken Alfredo, and it was actually what Pete ordered, not me, and I was practically crying about it because it was so good. And you know when you've got not just food envy, but then when you're allowed to try it and it's so much better than what you've actually ordered. God, I was gutted. So I was kind of booking it to go for that and order it for myself, and it's not on the menu. So I don't know, we'll see if that one stays. We thought the food was pretty good though, so looking forward to that. Just bring back the wood-fired chicken Alfredo and then I'll be like super happy. Hollywood Studios, we have also booked the Hollywood and Vine breakfast, which again is the character buffet. Now we did Hollywood and Vine for breakfast and dinner. Now we found we would not go back for dinner again. We personally thought the dinner options were pretty awful, but the breakfast was amazing. So we definitely booked that in and looking forward to that. And then of course Woody's Lunchbox, which is the quick service at Hollywood Studios. Obviously it's a really popular choice with good reason because it's incredible. I'm definitely going to go for the tachos. I think Pete will go for the beef brisket, grilled cheese, barbecue sandwich thing. Oscar will just have the grilled cheese, I reckon. But Woody's Lunchbox was just amazing. We actually went there a couple of times in 2019 and we're planning the same again because it's so good. So definitely recommend that. And then the final one that we've got for Hollywood Studios, we've booked Sci-Fi Diner. Now we didn't go to this on our last trip, but it does look pretty cool with like the drive-in theatre kind of vibes. I think it's quite dark, you sat in a car, which is pretty cool. I know the menu does get very mixed reviews, but like I say, I think for Hollywood Studios, we were a bit, some of the options are a bit iffy. Some of the ones that we had last time in 2019 were not great, like the Hollywood Brown Derby. That was a signature. We hated that. That was probably the worst one we ever went to on our trip. So we thought we'd give Sci-Fi Diner a go. So let us know if you've been there and what you thought. So next up, Animal Kingdom. And we again struggled here because there are so many good options at Animal Kingdom and so many places that we wanted to visit that it was really hard to like narrow it down. But we did. So first up, breakfast, and we have booked Tusker House, which is the character dining that is available. We did this in 2019. We loved it. Loved the experience. The food was incredible, and I love that it wasn't just traditional breakfast food, i.e. they had curry on the menu. And even though it's not a self-serve buffet, I have seen that they still bring you a curry, which I'm very excited about. And I know 8 o'clock is probably a little bit early for curry, but if it's going to be offered to me, I'm going to be eating it. So I'm excited for that one. So Tusker House we've booked. So that's for the breakfast. For our second day at Animal Kingdom, we are just probably going to just pick something up on the go. We just didn't want to book all of the same things over and over again because it will just be the same experience. So we thought we'd do something different for breakfast. I'm not quite sure where though, so if you have got any suggestions, then do let us know. Now for lunch at Animal Kingdom, we've penciled in Satu'li Canteen, which is in the Pandora area of Animal Kingdom. This was somewhere we really wanted to try on our last trip, but because we had the deluxe dining, we didn't really make too much use of counter service because we didn't want to like waste our credit. But now that we're paying out of pocket, that is a fantastic option and we're really excited for that. We did try on our last trip the Cheeseburger Pods though. We kind of bought that as out of pocket as a little snack, and they were really good. It is true what they say, they taste just like a McDonald's cheeseburger in a bao bun, so that's a great option. But the noodle rice bowls, they look incredible, so we're really excited for that. And of course the Night Blossom, that's definitely on the list of drinks again that we absolutely need to sample. For our next day in Animal Kingdom, we haven't actually booked anywhere for lunch or even penciled anything in. We're just gonna have a walk around and see what's open, because last time in Animal Kingdom we went to Mr. Kamal for his seasoned fries, we did Flame Tree Barbecue for the loaded fries, we did 8 Spoon Cafe for the loaded mac and cheese. Now if even just 1 or 2 of those are open, we'll be very, very happy. And we found that even though we picked stuff up as a snack, actually we found it was quite filling for lunch, so those are like great options. So we're kind of, even though we've not got anything penciled in because we're not quite sure what's going to be open and available, those are definitely like in the back of our minds as that's where we're going to be going. And then for dinner, we have booked Rainforest Cafe, which we also booked on our last trip, even though that's part of the Landry's Club and we now are Landry's members, and I don't believe you have to book. I think you can just show your card and be given priority seating. But if there is an option to book, we just thought it would be easier to book, and then we know we've got something secured and maybe not have to wait around. We did really enjoy the food in Rainforest Cafe. When we're in Disneyland Paris, it's always like one of our go-to restaurants as well. There's loads of good options. It's just that the portions are absolutely massive, but we know that now, so we'll just pace ourselves and maybe not order a starter and a main because it's just too much food, even for me. And then the final one that we've booked in for Animal Kingdom is Yakin Yeti, and I'm very excited for this. Again, it's another restaurant in the Landry's group, but we have booked, and there's so many good options on the menu at Yakin Yeti that I guess I'll just have to see what I fancy on the day and maybe see if we want to share a couple of things, because I've heard great things around the tikka masala. Now I know that obviously is something we can get here in the UK. We cook it ourselves and I make a really good one, but apparently that one is very good. Obviously the honey chicken, everyone seems to order that, so that must be good, so that's something we also want to try. And I think, is it the, I can't remember if it's Kobe or Wagyu, but one of those beef burgers, which apparently is very good with, and one of the desserts, is it the white chocolate and pineapple wontons? I've heard great things around that. So yeah, Yakin Yeti seems like a great choice. So for Animal Kingdom, there was a lot of different options. Like I say, we struggled to narrow it down, but we're very excited about what we have got planned. And then on to the final park before I go into Disney Springs. Final park, Epcot. And it's so hard to book dining in Epcot because there's so many options. Like, obviously it must have the biggest dining option and everywhere looks incredible. So we really struggled with Epcot, really struggled. So we do have 3 days booked at Epcot, which did mean that we had a bit longer than some of the other parks, so obviously more opportunity to try some of the fantastic dining. So I guess if I start with breakfast. Now I was really hoping that Garden Grill was going to be open for breakfast with the character dining, but it's still not available with the characters. In fact, I still don't actually think they're offering breakfast there at all, which we're a bit disappointed by because I wouldn't book the character buffets for lunch or dinner after our experiences in 2019. We've just found that they weren't very good, but the breakfasts were amazing. So I didn't want to book Garden Grill for the lunch or the dinner. It was only going to be breakfast, and because it's not available, we just haven't therefore booked it. So that's a bit of a shame. So for Epcot, we then haven't booked anything for breakfast. We're just thinking that we're just going to go to maybe quick service options, just pick stuff up. So again, if you've got any recommendations for breakfast, then please do let us know, because again, we have had a look, but I suppose it just depends on what our plans are for the day and where we kind of want to start the day. We don't want to be kind of going back and forth on ourselves. So let us know if you've got any options for Epcot. But lunches, so many good choices for lunch. So the first thing that we're thinking is Regal Eagle, which is one of the newer counter service which is offering sort of barbecue food. We love barbecue and we've never eaten there before, so that was definitely going on the list. I've since heard that there's like great reviews from it, lots of different variety, so I think that one will be a good one. And then the other lunch option that we've thought around for Epcot is Spaceship 220. And we've actually got it booked in the main restaurant, but what we're actually hoping for is the lounge, but I booked the wrong thing. I don't know if you can actually book the lounge. So I'm hoping we can get that switched over, or we might have to queue for the lounge. I don't know how that's going to work, but obviously that's one of the newest restaurants in Disney. The theming of that just looks incredible and we definitely wanted to try it. But actually when we looked at the menu, for lunch and dinner it is a price fixed menu, and the options we're just not massively keen on, whereas the lounge options did different things that weren't on the lunch or dinner option, which is why we wanted to go for the lounge. So I'm hoping we can sort something out there, because we definitely want to experience it, the theming, the atmosphere. Like I say, it looks incredible, but we just need to make sure it's the right thing. So I'm really hoping we can get that switched to the lounge. And for our third day in Epcot, we haven't actually booked or got anywhere in mind for lunch, because what we were going to do was just pop out the back and go to Beaches and Cream. So we have got something booked there, but it's quite early, but we just wanted to try that ice cream. So we just thought there's no point booking a lunch as well, we'll just be too full, but we did want to try Beaches and Cream, so that's made it onto the list. So in terms of dinners at Epcot, like I say, it was really difficult to narrow it down because there's so many amazing options, but one that was going on the list for certain was Le Cellier. Now Le Cellier is a signature restaurant, it's obviously quite pricey. We did do this in 2019, but I don't think we did it justice, because the whole day we'd been eating around the world at the Food and Wine Festival, so by the time it got round to dinner, we were actually pretty full. So whilst we gave it our best effort, I don't know, we let ourselves down there. We disappointed ourselves. So it was definitely going on the list, and that's why we want to keep ourselves free for that lunchtime, because we've lived that. We're not going to do that again. We won't make that same mistake twice, especially when we're paying out of pocket for it. So I'm very excited for Le Cellier, but this was one where even in advance I'm struggling to kind of narrow down what exactly it is that I want, because there's so many decent options. The only thing I would say is I definitely want to try again the maple creme brulee for dessert, because it was so good. So yeah, that was definitely on the list. The other option that we've booked in Epcot for dinner is Via Napoli, and as I'm sure you know if you've been watching this channel, Oscar loves his pizza, and they do huge pizzas, like absolutely huge pizzas. Was it like 1/2 meter or something ridiculous? Obviously they're quite pricey, but we'll be splitting it between the 3 of us. That's if we actually do go for the giant one. We might just go for like the smaller ones, but I guess we'll just work out like what's the most economical from a cost perspective, because it might be better to get the big one and share it, but who knows. The only thing is with Via Napoli is we couldn't get the dinner reservation time that we really wanted, so it's quite late. It's after 8, which we never eat dinner that late, and then obviously getting quite close to the Harmonious fireworks which show at 9, so I'm hoping we can kind of nudge that forward as we get closer, or even on the day, but we'll see. If not, we'll just have to kind of deal with it. But that place looks incredible, has got some great reviews, so we're excited to try that. So then the final thing that we've got planned in Epcot is something that I'm so excited about, because when we booked this trip and then when I looked up what events were available, it looked like we were just in between 2 of the festivals, which was such a shame because we really did enjoy eating our way around the World Showcase and seeing all the fun things there. However, since then, Disney have now announced that the Flower and Garden Festival will be starting earlier, so it's going to start from March the 2nd, which means that we'll just make it. So we've obviously cleared one of our days to make use of all the offerings at the Flower and Garden Festival, and I'm very excited because firstly, all the topiaries and things just look incredible. I've seen other people's photos over the years and it just looks like so pretty, like such a nice way to kind of welcome spring. But obviously the festival itself, with all the amazing food and drink, including the violet lemonade, which I'm super excited to try. So yeah, we have tried to keep ourselves as free as possible for that. Lesson learned from 2019, but obviously the menu options haven't been announced yet. I think the booths have, and from what I understand, the booths are quite similar to 2021, so I'm guessing the menu options might be quite similar. Either way, super excited for that. And what good timing, like when I read that, oh god, I think I was at work and I texted Pete saying, oh my god, the Flower and Garden Festival is going to be on, well with it. So yes, very exciting moment and very fortunate, I think, in terms of timing. So that's all of the parks, and then finally we're on to Disney Springs. Now Disney Springs has got so many good options. Again, similar to Epcot, there's just too many to kind of narrow it down. So, but we had to, and we've prioritised. But we're going to be there at Disney Springs. We're taking out a full day to go and do all of our shopping. Now, that doesn't mean that we won't be back. Like, if we choose to have like a half day in the park, we might go to Disney Springs, but we do try and prioritise the park where we can, so it's not in the plan at the moment, but who knows, we'll see what happens on the day. But for the day that we have got booked at Disney Springs, we have got booked Chef Art Smith's Homecoming, which we didn't try in 2019, and I regretted it because it looked so good. The menu options look incredible. I've heard so many good things about the fried chicken, but also the mashed potato and the mac and cheese and the biscuit, oh, and the donuts. They do donuts as part of your main. Now Oscar's just gonna have a field day there, isn't he? So that was definitely something we wanted to prioritise on this trip, so we've got that booked in, which we're excited about. And of course, Blaze Pizza. I'm hoping that we still actually have room after Chef Art Smith's. In fact, we're probably going to just have to force the room because we're not going to go to Disney Springs and not have Blaze Pizza. Now, I'm not a huge fan of pizza. The boys are, which is why we've got a couple of pizza options on the list. But even though not being a huge fan, I just adored Blaze Pizza. That white base pizza that I had, I think I've said it before, it was a revelation. I really enjoyed it. So we're looking forward to that. And of course, again, there's lots of snacks at Disney Springs that we're looking forward to trying. I in particular want to try the Ghirardelli sundae. We didn't do that last time, and again, regretted it. I've seen so many amazing pictures and just think that just looks amazing. And then also Amorette's Patisserie. There's just all the little cakes and things. Again, they're quite pricey, but I think they're very highly rated, very beautiful to look at, but also very tasty to eat. So we've got to kind of save ourselves room for all of these things. Even if we buy something to take back to the room with us, it won't get wasted, it will definitely be eaten. So yeah, Disney Springs, that's what we've got planned so far. Like I say, our plans might change in the trip and we might find our way there, but if we've only got one day, then that's absolutely what we've prioritised, and we're very excited for that day. So those are all the things that we've booked or are considering for our Disney dining. Like I say, there isn't that many gaps. I think there's some for like breakfast in particular, so if you have got any tips then do let us know. If you've got any firm favourites then we are all ears, because like I say, what we don't want to do is go to a park and then waste time in the park just meandering around trying to find somewhere to eat. So please do let us know. I definitely want to have things like penciled into the plan to avoid that scenario, because I just want to be able to say, right, what do we fancy? Right, we'll just head there and not waste any time. But we're so excited for this portion of the trip, especially like for all the dining. There's just, like I say, so many good options. I hope you like what we've chosen and we can't wait to show you in the vlogs. So don't forget to give me a big thumbs up, and a subscribe is always appreciated, and we'll see you again soon.